On the right, that's the male. All the other ones you see are the females. So by being that dark color, the male is more obvious to predators like the lions back in line camp behind us, but also by being that color, the male is basically showing off saying, hey, I'm so tough, I don't have to worry about lions. Cars, look up on the ceiling above you. On the left and right, you'll see some yellow emergency smoking while aboard. And please make sure all your personal items are safely stowed away. If anything falls off our vehicle, we cannot go back and pick it up. An hour after that. Big rock over there. You can see the cheetahs have those black spots. So as I mentioned, this is the Africa Express, and Africa is the world's second largest continent, about 20% of the world's land mass. It's home to people of diverse and dynamic culture, and it's also hosts the greatest density and variety of wildlife on Earth. Today we'll be exploring into the South African savanna, the Sahara Desert of North Africa, and the tropical forests of Central Africa. And our rhino has been enjoying the mud in the exhibit. That's why it looks kind of dark on most of its body. Their ears at us. Rhinos can use their ears like little satellite dishes. They can point them in different directions to get the best sound reception. And they also have a really good sense of smell. Now, East African black rhinos are endangered out in Africa. There were around 70,000 in the late 60s. Now they're down to about 3,000. So we are breeding them here at the park. And actually, we did start life as a... Out to our left there, far shore of the lake, we see two rhinos. Two other types of rhinos enjoying the lake. And they're going to go behind the island as we go past. And we'll be able to see those a little closer later on. They drown because their nose and their mouth will be underwater. But just like the black rhinos, they also are down there so they can get a nice mud bath. Help keep them cool and keeps their skin protected from the sun, just like you putting on sunscreen. And see the rhinos are down there in the water. We're coming up on the right here on some animals from the Sahara Desert of North Africa. And you can see the addax all have that white coloration on their body. How do you think that would help you to have that color when you're living in the desert? Yeah, it's kind of camouflage, and it's also a way to stay cool. It's like you might wear a white t-shirt on a hot day to stay cool. Now the addax are severely overhunted in Africa right now. We are returning a lot of the addax that you see back to Africa this year. Program got them up to about 1,000 in 1972. At that point, we received 20 young southern white rhinos. Since then, we've had more than 90 southern white rhino calves born here at the park. We're one of the leading breeding facilities outside of Africa for them. And because of our efforts and other groups around the world, there are now more than 13,000 southern white rhinos. They are the only rhinos which are not endangered. And between us and the rhinos, big, round, shaggy animals with the white rings on their rumps, those are lips and water butt ring. If you don't see it, you know your herd has moved on, so it's time for you to move on. That's a different type of round. That's a northern white rhino. That's our male Angalifu. DNA samples from our male there, Angalifu, and our female, in the hopes that scientists in the future might be able to recreate northern white rhinos from their DNA. Just like see how Angalifu is moving his ear toward us. Make sure we're not a threat to him. He's waving his tail. Also shows he's a little concerned about us. Now the reason northern white rhinos are so endangered is because of where they live in Africa. Places like the Sudan and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. We have some tall animals, which are... And you can see how she's still chewing even though we haven't seen her eat in a little while. It's because giraffes chew their cud just like cows. So they'll regurgitate their food, chew it again, and then swallow it again. So they can get more nutrition out of it. Also, if you look way up out to our left beyond the corral here, on the grassy slope, you can see a young, being that black color, they're basically saying, hey, look out for us, we're the toughest animals around, don't even think about messing with us. Those are our Cape buffalo. Now what's the other obvious problem with They also have a marking on their back they follow each other with, just like the water buck that we saw do. And now on the near, you see how they're all looking different directions. So how do you think that would help you if you're a prey animal in Africa? Well, yeah, it's a way to help if you're a forest-dwelling antelope. Camouflage, right? And in between the bongos, you see some small brown animals. One's waving its tail at us. Actually, the bongos are too now. Those small brown animals are red-fronted gazelle. Left, beyond this fence that goes down the hill, in the corner between just in front of that building out there. So in front of that building, next to that wall with the fence on top of it, under the shade of a tree, there's our Grevy's zebra. Park, has anyone ever fed the giraffes at the zoo? Oh, okay, thank you for that, folks, because actually that money we use to help Grevy's zebra in Africa. Most recently, we used that money to vaccinate over 600 of the left of the tree. Africa has one species of deer, which is those Barbary red deer. Africa has over 70 species of antelope up there. Ostriches are very attentive and have very good eyesight. They're very tall, so just like giraffes, they're kind of like the watchtowers of Africa. They don't have any feathers underneath their wings, so when they lift their wings up, that helps them expose more of their bare skin to the air. It helps them cool off. The money that you spent entering the park today, and also the money you spent becoming a member, if you are a member of our society, both directly help fund our worldwide conservation efforts. So today, folks, you really are a part of the solution, and for that, we thank you. And to look out to our look like rocks themselves, and the resting next to the rocks out there. And again, you can see our cheetahs on the left, still in the same place. We do run our tours until 8:15 tonight, and your ticket will let you get back on any number of tours you want. You just have to go back through the line, the waiting line. So if you came back here at sunset, it's actually a great time to see the animals more active. You see speaking of animals being...
Which one? The one right across. Just go straight. Like that, okay. Oh,
So as I said, those are some of the real success stories here at the park and in Africa. Over 13,000 of those rhinos now in the world, up from 100 in 1929. Now, as we make our way back to Simba Station, I want to talk about some things you can do today after you leave our station. You see the lions up close. Keepers are more than happy to answer questions. As I mentioned, the cheetah keeper talks at 1 o'clock today. Now, speaking of lion camp, we're just about coming to it on our right here. For a moment. Again, folks, if you want to see the lions even closer, just walk up to your right after you leave our station.
That's called the butter lion. You see the lion up there on top of the truck?
Can we get one for home?
No, it's just
A big Kit Kat?
This is the butter lion.
And you can see the lion is that same orange color that most of the animals we saw today. Again, that's to blend into the green grass and green trees in Africa. Because animals like lions and most animals we saw.
Oh, those white over there.
Hanging out. Hard to see because they're in the shadows.
Not exactly wild.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, dude, I've never seen Joe. There's 3 of them over there, isn't there? Yeah. Yeah.
Look at
You know,
it's
they
come
walk
up now.
Matter of fact, one of them was like had a golden retriever as a friend, yeah.
Can you walk?
The circus, don't you guys never watch? Get the lady always say,
Yearly?
yeah, give it.
You guys went kind video on that one?
Yeah.
The circus?
They're the mom. They're the mom. The bird.
Oh yeah,
Bring
see.
food.
The look. Oh, look there. Stand up. Say you're crazy, I'm in a shade. No bother me. Look. Cute that. A lion. Where is that? Over there. Up there.
And the San Diego Zoo formed the Zoological Society of San Diego, a conservation, education, and recreation organization dedicated to the reproduction, protection, and exhibition of animals and plants and their habitats. Your sky-high safari will rise to 400 feet. From this height, you will have a unique perspective of a 50-year dream. The Wild Animal Park was first inspired in the 1950s by Dr. Charles Schroeder's desire to give the herd species exhibited at the San Diego Zoo a large natural expanse with which to breed. These large enclosures, covering hundreds of acres, also offer our guests an excellent representation of the animals' natural behaviors. From this height, you can see herds of animals interacting much as they do in their native habitats. With the exception of predators, these animals live with the same species they would encounter in the wild. If you look out toward those large field enclosures, you are facing due east. When you look west in the opposite direction, you'll see the Nairobi village stretched out below us. The hills surrounding the Wild Animal Park in all directions form a protected greenbelt called the San Pasqual Valley. Our efforts to conserve wildlife extend beyond the exotic animals in our collection, outward to the native California plants and animals that depend on the California coastal sage scrub habitat that covers the hillsides around you. To the southwest, you'll find two newly constructed facilities close to one another. The high-peaked building on the left is the Harder Veterinary Hospital. This facility provides state-of-the-art care for over 3,700 animals in our collection. To the right of the Vet Hospital is the Betterment Center for Conservation Research of Endangered Species. This is where we practice the science of animal care. The Betterment Center houses the frozen zoo and provides facilities for a wide range of laboratory studies, including genetics, endocrinology, and pathology. The Zoological Society is involved in over 40 research sites around the world. Scientists and animal care professionals use the information gathered in the wild and the scientific laboratory to better care for our animals at the zoo and the Wild Animal Park. In return, working with the exotic animals at the Wild Animal Park can provide a wealth of information that conservationists can apply to wild populations. In an ongoing conservation effort, we recycle our water. Below us and slightly southwest of the balloon site is our wastewater treatment plant. All the water consumed by our guests comes from the city of Escondido. However, we reclaim it, clean it, and use it again for irrigation in our large field exhibits. As we rise, scan the exhibits below. You may spot a herd of African elephants. Elephant herd. From your new vantage point, even elephants look small. To get an up-close, behind-the-scenes view of the park, please consider reserving a photo caravan or an education tour. You can find more information about that in your maps. If you have questions about the balloon's operation, please ask your pilot. And enjoy the view.
Wow. Are those houses? Where's the elephant? Oh, right there, the elephant. Right there. Oh. Oh, somebody.
By the bear up there, and then one right next to
It's okay. No, one more time. This is ugly. There you go. Not too close. Sorry. Oh, that was nice. That's nice. Is that the monkey over there? That's the monkey over there, huh? Oh, I see right there. See the truck going up? See the crossing? See? They're walking. Oh, they're scared. At the train station, I go because she see him every morning. That's me. It's a lot. This is it's the wood on. How many minutes we was up? Yeah. $1 for 1 minute. But you can see up here with all the animals. Nice, yeah? Yeah. I'm not doing that. You're pushing me, Mom. You know what the glare? Alright. Nice. The big side. Yeah. You know what the glare, yeah? Give the reflection.
For her, it's like going to hometown favorite.
Oh, where are they around?
They don't like him up there.
Oh, boy.
Did you like his food?
It's a big lion. Oh, look at his collar. Just like this. Where you going? I know, but I don't know where he's going. Where are you going? To the can.
You gotta wait for Dad though. Let's go back over here.
Oh, look at. Get up on the couch. I would say he's kind of big up there. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Huh? Look at how big. Look, he's as long. Look at that tail.
I said, it's got battery left.